Good morning, everybody. This is Judith Aco. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So yesterday I was watching a video by Godfrey, the comedian. He has a podcast, and on it was Trina McGee, who I remember from Howard. She was on my freshman year floor, so she used to be on Boy Meets World, which was crazy because I remember. She was in my class, so she was a good 10 years older than the rest of the cast. She definitely wasn't a high school student. She had graduated college. Um, I assume she graduated. I just didn't see her after freshman year, but she was on my freshman year floor, and she was really interesting. She was in the first room as soon as you hit Baldwin Hall 229 at Howard. Well, 229 was my room number, but she was on Baldwin Hall, second floor. So her roommate was named Tracy. So Trina and Tracy were in the first room. And they were cool, very chill. She was very arty and eclectic then. I'm pretty sure I knew she wanted to be an actor. But anyway, that's just walking down memory lane. Trina was cool. And then she went on to marry somebody I went to college with. Um, no, that I had an internship with when I was in college. And he happened to be from St. Louis. And they were married for many years and had 3 kids together. All right, enough of that. So I'm listening to her podcast, and she was talking about how Boy Meets World was really tough for her because, and I know what she was talking about. She said it was tough for her because they weren't racist. She wouldn't consider them racist. They were just ignorant about black people, like how to talk to people that weren't like them. And that is something I just experienced in the workplace as well. It's like um, the bosses that came online after this year, that came online this year. I don't think they have any black friends. I don't think they know that many black people outside of work and the people who come in as criminals, the defendants. I don't think they and victims. Like I don't think they deal with black people. They only know black people, as coworkers or, you know, victims or defendants. And while I don't think they are intentionally trying to be racist, they are prejudiced, right? And she was saying basically the same thing, like the way they talked to her, the jokes they told that weren't funny, that were offensive, because you could tell they just didn't know any better. That I had experienced that. But one thing that she said that really stood out to me, and Godfrey was talking about how people had been touched, like every child actor had been touched, and she was like, I don't think they had been. She said that all the boys on that show were very pretty, and she didn't think they had been touched because in her years in the industry, she recognizes certain things, behaviors. And while I wasn't in the film or active in TV and film like I wanted to be, I have been in a prosecutor's office for 7.5 years, and I agree with her. And she picked a name that I think has also been a victim, and no one talks about it, which is Lil Wayne. She said that she thinks he's been touched because, based off of certain behaviors, when you can't be committed to one woman, when you go and make a bunch of children, um, and you have a hard time being, committed and focused, that's usually a sign that somebody touched you. So then I was thinking in my mind, okay, well that's Nick Cannon because he got what 14 kids now or something crazy. And her reasoning is based off what she saw in her work, and my reasoning that I picked Lil Wayne is because so many victims don't say anything immediately. In fact, they don't even realize for a long time that they were victims. It takes them a while to comprehend. So, what's common in the prosecutor's office I was in, a girl makes it to about 20 or 21. She is now either pregnant or just old enough to realize, like, hey, something's not right. Or she has her own children and she's like, wait a minute, something happened to me and this person needs to be held accountable. Either way, they could, however they get there, but they're usually much older. So then they go back and press charges, and they have to prove, but they've kept the text messages. They have all this proof, videos. I've seen old videos in their old phone, tons of text messages, um all kinds of just inappropriate stuff that they held on to. So what's really interesting about that is I feel like that's how Wayne was. Wayne was cool, stunned like my daddy. This is my daddy. He can kiss me in the mouth. Everything was cool. And then it seemed like they said it was about the money, but I really think he realized that baby had been inappropriate with him. And I don't know these people. This is just speculation. Um, and the way he reacts, the way Baby thinks about Wayne and talks about Wayne now, and the way Wayne reacts, is straight up like a victim of sexual abuse. I'm sorry, it just is. That's just exactly how they react. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to be bothered with you. They don't want to be seen with you. And I don't think it's just money with them, because he basically saved Cash Money and he was kissing him in the mouth. And that's what they did in public. What were they doing in private? And I don't know why people think that black men aren't child molesters, but black men can be and are child molesters. And that crime, even in St. Louis County, that crime is represented by every race. It just is. And I'm telling you, black people like to think certain things black people won't do, but there are a ton of black child molesters. And a lot of times they get discouraged from coming forward because their parents are going to say something like, well, don't be shaming our family and don't tell all our business. I mean, you can go back decades with the don't tell our business stuff. you know I've heard stories from black families where they just stay married to the creepy uncle, and everybody just goes out of the way to never be alone with him because they know he goes after the little girls in the family, like crazy shit. So that's what I think. And for Trina to see it, and me and Trina ain't even friends. I haven't seen Trina in probably 30 years. I think saw her when I was in LA, probably in the late 90s. Um, but yeah, I mean, she's smart and observant, and I feel like I am too. And that he just displays a lot of victim tendencies, and it ain't money. It's not the money. I know that's the story they put in front of everybody, but um it's deeper than money. And I think he realized as he got older that something wasn't quite right, which would explain the drugs. It would explain his hypersexual lyrics. Like, Wayne can't even make a a song anymore that's not like super hypersexual and disgusting. And I used to like Lil Wayne's music a lot. I used to like Wayne. I remember when the Hot Boys came out. I was young. I remember he was like a little kid, 13, 14, and it was cool. He was 16, I think. That was very, very cool. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he had the most energy, and I liked him in Juvie. And but Wayne seemed hypersexualized to me. And as his lyrics, as he got older and more successful, it got worse. And usually when people are trying to prove their hypermasculinity like that, they're covering for something. And I think once he started having all his own kids, it started to wear on him. And now he looks awful. He is way, way, way too intense on those drugs. So anyway, not to be glib about it, I am concerned about Wayne mainly for the same reasons Trina McGee is concerned. It just he seems like he's been the victim of child sexual assault. Sorry, he just does. And if you are ever concerned, those to me are the signs, especially in, not even especially, in boys and girls. They get hypersexualized. Boys tend to turn to drugs to mask, you know, all that comes along with that. Because for a long time, the victims are going along with it because they think they're special. And they're kids. I mean, I've seen text exchanges where the grown ass man is mad. You know, the 39-year-old man is mad at the 14-year-old girl for acting like a 14-year-old. You're a smart young lady. I can't believe you acting like this. When I told you to pick up the phone, you should have picked up the phone. It's like, why are you talking to her like she is a little girl? Why are you talking to her and getting mad at her for reacting like a little girl? You know? And I'm telling you, I can't put my finger on it, and I don't know if this is true, but I think part of these elite groups, like the all this Epstein shit, people have contented themselves to think of them as just, well, they're 14 and 15-year-old girls, which I don't understand that. They're still little kids, but also there's going to be little kids too. This is the tip of the iceberg. This is the stuff I thought that would come out in the Puffy trial. This is why I know the Puffy trial was a scam, because they never brought out, they never really brought out the big bag of charges. They just wanted his stuff. They just wanted his blackmail because was he was too addicted to drugs to be a good asset anymore. You know, so don't sleep. There's somebody that took over his operation. And I fully believe somebody in Israel or all these governments that are vying against the United States and need to control us, I'm pretty sure they have all of his blackmail and are using it. They just took over. That's the thing. They took over Epstein's and Puffy's blackmail. They never were interested in really getting justice. So there you have it. That's my theory. Those are my wild, whacked out theories, and I hate to say it, I would like to see Wayne live a healthy, happy life. And I don't know. I feel like baby might not be. Listen, to me, when you get to be a certain age and you can't settle down either, because excuse me, he's older than him. And I don't believe that relationship with Tony Braxton is real. There's something not right. And he does have a long history of not paying his artists. That is true financially, but I do think it's something more with Wayne, and I hope they both get the help they need, you know. And again, I'm just speculating. I don't know if any of that's true, but and I also hate that they don't get along, because that was a, you know, in hip hop there's not a lot of, or rap music, there's not a lot of heartwarming stories. And that one started off kind of heartwarming. Wayne obviously needed a father figure, and Baby stepped up, and it seemed nice. But, you know, I'm just speculating. But if you need to look at symptoms for, if you're trying to just figure out, like, does this person seem a little, usually um, it's because they realized something horrible happened to them in their childhood and they just can't come to terms with it. And speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, those emails are no joke. And now I see that they're going to release the files. So that lets you know Trump is in some deep trouble in some other way, because they want to release all the files now. And the ones that I've been able to read or have seen people cover, you know, it lets you know one thing. Jeffrey Epstein was a very powerful, he was almost like a mean girl. He was like Regina George, but with like world leaders. Somehow he was the person that everybody wanted to please, or everybody was asking advice, and he was definitely hooking them up with young people. And I he was hooking people up with young girls and probably some boys, children, for people who had those sexual proclivities or perversions. But here's the thing, he recorded all of it, and then when he needed it, he could slide blackmail across the globe. So there's a lot of mention of the Saudis, which that makes me sad because Saudis are about to buy Warner Brothers, which makes me so sad. I I don't know. I just always wanted to go back and work for them, but I just have a feeling that a Saudi run studio is not going to be where I want to be. And the only thing that gives me comfort is I think the studio system is going to collapse and it's going to eventually revert back to something more recognizable. But right now, I think your best bet is to make your own movies and use studios as distributors, and that's it. Because I can't imagine. They're all. Can you imagine? I can't imagine what that's going to look like, and I don't want to. So, we're in a brave new weird world. So, you got to stay strong. Who knows what's going to happen? And obviously, everything is for sale in America. They don't care who buys it. So, to really stay strong and stay tuned.